Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay.
All right. So, welcome. I know last week we had a recorded call. So, obviously, we are back from traveling and here we are. So, for anyone new, hello, I'm Monique and I'm an energy healer, spiritual mentor.
And I'm Zach. I'm a real estate investor for over 10 years now.
And we started the series because since we've been together, he was doing some energy work before we met, and then when we came together, it's really helped him expand his business, and it's helped both of us just really create a beautiful life together. So we wanted to share the techniques that we've used over the last couple of years that I've been using for longer than that with you guys. And yeah, so we created this series. So if you're new, then you know, or if you're not new, you know, there's a chat. If you're new, there's a chat, and you can use it throughout the call to ask questions, to make comments, chat with each other. And then at the end of the call, we will actually go through and do a Q&A. So if there are questions that haven't been answered, we will address them then, or you can actually come on live or ask any questions then.
Yeah, so just know that we're going to probably go pretty fast, and that's on purpose because we're trying to pack tons in this whole hour. So just know there's a replay. On that replay, you can pause it, you can skip sections, you can go at half speed, you can go at 4x speed, whatever the heck you want. But we're going to try and give you as much as we can in this hour and get you out.
Yes. So do you want to do the overview, babe?
Yeah, so just to give you a little overview of what we're doing in general here. So energetic alignment and mindset, what that really is. It's that idea that energy is everywhere. It's all around us. Kind of, to me, I relate it to physics. So I'm a very scientific guy. So it's physics. If the energy is all around us, we're made of atoms and energy. And then the mindset is how we end up manipulating that energy. So I'm also an engineer. So to me, that's engineering relating to that. It's taking the physics that's all around and it's applying it towards something. So that's the engineering side of it. So it's just trying to pull all those things in. And my gosh, we have months and months and months and months of stuff that we could teach you guys and go in depth. And we're really excited to do that because, I mean, we always need a little bit more help, guidance, repetition with mindset and everything that you're trying to do, because you can fall off the wagon easily, especially when you're starting out, when you got your training wheels on.
Yeah. And if you watched last week's call, which was just recorded of me, I was doing a class just to my audience, and it was all about approaching your goals through a different space, right? And I addressed 4 simple shifts that you can make to really tackle your goals and create the best year yet. And all of those shifts were energetic. And that is because we want to always address the energy that we are embodying before we take action. So always keeping that in mind of just, how am I approaching this? How am I showing up to this? What energy am I holding in my body as I take this action? Because it's that energy that you are going to get back multiplied, either immediately or delayed outcome, but it will come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. So that little sticky she puts on my paper that says energy before action. It's that simple way of just thinking about it, remembering it. It's not difficult, but you need that little reminder just to say, all right, reset myself before I go into something. Otherwise, I'm bringing all of that's in my mind, all that good and that bad every time going into whatever I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And I do just want to say something real quick in that. So this is your permission slip that if you are having a bad day, or you're like processing some grief, or you're just pissed off, or something happened and you're not in a space where you really, where you feel great, right? You're just in a space where you're just like, I can't deal with things right now. Permission granted to not deal with them, because it's not the emotion that you feel that manifests an outcome. It's the emotion that you feel that's dictating the action that you take because of that emotion. Okay. So what do I mean by this? I mean, how many of us have made plans when we're in a really good mood? We're like, oh my gosh, yes, let's make these plans. And the day comes and you're not in that same mood. And you're like, how the heck can I get out of these plans? So this is the same concept. It's understanding that with different emotional energies that you're embodying at any given time, we're embodying multiple at any given time. This is the power of duality, holding happiness and grief, holding some embarrassment and celebration, whatever it might be. So we're embodying them all at any given time. However, there's always a baseline. So Zach's baseline is like happy, and my baseline is a little more neutral. But we have that energetic baseline, and everybody's is different. But if for some reason yours is lower on any given day, like for me, this week we just got back from traveling. I'm going through some shifts, and I just had a couple days where I just wasn't feeling that great, and so I was pressuring myself to output. But then I sat and I'm like, okay, am I really serving myself or anyone that comes into contact with me if I'm infusing this energy into anything that I do? So permission slip to just give yourself a break, take a nap, go for a walk, but be aware of the energy that you're embodying when you're taking a specific action, because it's the action that you take because of the energy that you are currently embodying, the emotion that you're embodying, that dictates the outcome. And that's how a very simple term of how we manifest things down the road. So we're going to talk about this at a later thing. I just wanted to bring that up because today we're also going to talk about the ego and how that impacts us. But first, do you want to talk about how people may be able to work with you or me after this?
So a little bit of that. So everyone always wonders, like, all right, can I get around your energy more than just this time that we're together? And the answer is yeah. How many ways is that possible? So we each do one-on-one type of training on things. She's can affect people a lot like that. Every now and then we start different groups for things. So you can watch out for that in the future, and different master classes and trainings, deals for me. So if you want to talk real estate now, oh, wow, we get to talk real estate. So if there's deals, like I love deals and going through deals and going, like, I would rather have 100 properties at once, because I mean, there's so many more possibilities, and people get intimidated by 100 properties, where I get super excited about 100 properties at once. So that's a wonderful spot for us to work together, because there's lots of possibilities within that. And then private lending and stuff, of course. But I do want to talk about a little bit of housekeeping stuff as well. So we just sent you an email earlier today, a little reminder about this class and getting in here. We're going to do that every week so that you have those reminders. And there's a little calendar invite that's in there as well, that if you don't have this on your calendar, that you can get that Zoom on your calendar. I live and breathe and die by my Google Calendar. I don't know about you, but I literally, it's one of my easiest things that I'm not doing something unless it's on my calendar. And so it's an easy way for me to say no at the end of the day about that. And then an important little tidbit, then that email that we just sent out yesterday, very specifically, we made a Google form where it just has two very simple questions. But the first one is simply, what would you like us to teach you? Where would you like this to go? What's important to you? I don't know what exactly the question is, but that's the mantra behind the question.
Yeah. So it was stemmed from us brainstorming classes for like the unforeseen future. And I'm like, well, why don't we just ask them what they really want to learn, so we can tailor some of this stuff to you? Because I mean, energetics is a huge field, and I can talk about anything within it. And Zach has experienced it as well. But we would just love some feedback from you guys. So if you could go take like less than 5 minutes to fill out that Google form after this class is over, then please just fill that out. Do us a favor. Let us help you more. And I mean, we have topics that we're going to talk about, but if there's something that's really on your heart that you really want to learn more of, like ASAP, let us know so we can alter the schedule and give that to you. But I think today you'll be very pleased with what we talk about. How Zach was saying, you can work with him more if you want to do more real estate stuff. I call Zach an expander because he expands possibilities for people that we weren't even like, you might not even be aware that it's a possibility for you. And so we're going to talk about that today, because one thing that gets in the way of us not being aware of the possibilities for us is our ego. And we've talked about ego a little bit in previous classes. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into it today. And I wanted to do this now because we're still kind of coming off of that New Year energy. The last two classes have been around New Year's and energetic shifts around goals with that. And so what can come up when you are exploring new goals and you're setting these visions for yourself of this is what I want to accomplish this year or within the next 3 years or within the next month, whether that's an income goal or a property goal or a relationship goal or a weight goal. It doesn't matter. Energetics is the same across the board. So insert whatever area it is for you. And let's just play with that with our imagination here. So what most people don't realize is that our ego, it is not a bad thing. It's something that protects us, but it protects us in a way that it keeps us in this safe space, so to speak. But you cannot live without your ego. So if you're in a spiritual community or you're new to the spiritual space, you might hear the term ego death. And we don't want to kill our ego. That's just a term that means part of your identity that you once identified with, you no longer identify with that. And with that comes lots of interesting experiences in the body. And a perfect example for this is, it's 11:11 right now where we're at, by the way. Perfect example for this is leaving a relationship. So leaving a long-term relationship. We formed an identity of who we are with our partner. We formed an identity of how we show up with our partner, or whether maybe your relationship is a job. You formed an identity of how you show up each day, what you wear. And so leaving the relationship or that job, we go through the breakup. But we're not just grieving the loss of the relationship. We're grieving the loss of who we were within the relationship. Because now what do we say? Oh, I have to learn how to date again. I don't even know what my type is anymore. I don't know how to show up on a date. You are learning who you are again. You're literally creating a new identity. And this is the identity is our ego. So an ego death is like we've left that part of us behind, and now we are becoming something new. We're always doing this. We are always doing this. Just in sometimes, especially as an entrepreneur, you're experiencing this probably a lot more than the average person. And so this is why we wanted to talk about this. But essentially your ego, it is a mental and emotional expression of your nervous system. And so it's showing up for you based on how your nervous system feels entering a new space. And just know that you are not your ego. You are the awareness of it. Because if you were your ego, you would have died when you left that relationship. You're still here. We've all broken up with people before. We're all still here. So you're not your ego. You're not that voice in your head.
Yeah. So I always hear someone say, when I hear the word ego, I usually hear, oh, you're so egotistical. You're so full of yourself, like probably in line with you're such a jerk.
Yeah. And we hear ego like it's a bad thing. Like, oh, yeah, well, I don't want to be that, or I don't want to be like the jerk or the egoic person. But ego, it can be a bad thing when we lean on it too much, but it's ultimately a protector of us. And it's how we identify ourselves. So it's all in how we approach it.
Yeah. And you're saying it's those emotions that are coming through in that moment. So if they're coming through from that clouded space, from a negative, from a trauma type of past, well, then you could be a jerk just because, you've gone through those things in the past and you felt that emotional connection in the past. So now you're projecting that emotional feeling out there in the world.
About before the thinking feeling loop. And so those emotions trigger thoughts, and those thoughts might trigger things like, well, I'm more important than this person, and that's comparison, and we're going to talk about this later in this call too, or like, well, I'm better than that person. And that's the ego. Anything that says I first, separation, is the ego. So when we act from trauma, then it's like, well, either I'm not that type of person, or I'm going to be the best person that there is. And so people can form identities around a trauma. And just so you know, this is advanced. So I'm not going to go too far into this, but they can form identities around the trauma and then show up in that very egoic space. So we know someone's acting from ego when they're all like, well, I'm better than you, because they are separating themselves. They're saying but then they're saying better than. So that actually means that they're acting out through insecurities that they feel less than. They don't feel good enough. So they're over exemplifying their ego to show people, well, I'm better than you, because the ego is trying to protect that insecurity of not feeling good enough.
Yeah. So when I get that feeling, maybe they don't even verbally say, I am better than you, or I am better than these other people. But when I notice that type of reaction on someone, that they're projecting that out into the world, I am instantly turned away from that type of person. I don't want to associate with that. So yeah, I would rather all of you have a wonderful relationship with your ego, and we can all do deals together.
Yeah.
I'm all about making everyone great around us. You know, there's that notion of, there's many people that like to carve out what we're going to do, have our little section of pie. Like, here's a pie, you know, here's the opportunity. How much are we going to get of that pie? Well, I say, screw all that. Let those people fight over the pie. Let's go build a pie factory over here. Right. And then, like, after that, let's build more pie factories. Now we can feed all those people that are going after those little bits of piece of pie. So it's just, it's a shift. And I want to be around those people that have that good shift, because it just makes life easier, happy, more calm and easeful, and just everything I want in my life for part of my personal vision. You can take some of that if you want, or you can hang out with those people that think they're better than everyone, if that's what you like to do for now. But
so what Zach is trying to explain is what the ego is, and it boxes you in. And so it's the I, it's that separation, that I'm better than thou, or I'm different than, I'm not good enough as, either they're better than me. So still separating yourself. And it is this, either it can be a positive or a negative sense of self. The ego is how we learn who we are. It's how we self-identify. And it's our collection of stories of what makes us us. So for an example, if you had a traumatic experience, whether capital T, like a death or abuse in the family, or a lowercase t, like a rejection on the playground, which felt like a capital T when you were a little kid. And then we can create stories about who we are. So for an example, if I approach someone on the playground when I'm in 7th grade and they say, ew, a girl, get away from me, then I'm like, oh, wow, people don't like me. I'm going to be rejected if I go up to someone. So then I create an identity to protect myself, that it's not safe for me to approach other people. That might then bleed into him being a real estate investor, calling people, calling wholesalers, calling private money lenders, and being scared to reach out to them in fear of rejection. So these ideologies that our ego creates, the stories that it tells us we are, they bleed into different areas of our life. So something could have happened on the playground when I was 12 years old, but now in my life, in my career, I have to reach out to people to benefit my career, but my ego is trying to protect me, saying it's not safe, you're going to get rejected, because my little 12-year-old heart was broken. And so we have to learn how to work with our ego and not see it as a bad thing, but see it as a protector, because it tells us this is what you're good at. This is what you're bad at. This is what's true about the world. This is what's false about the world. How many of us heard our parents say something along the lines of, well, money doesn't grow on trees, or you need to work harder if you want to, if you want some stuff around here, you got to earn it, and stuff like that. So we learned that hard work equals money. Money's not everywhere. Mind you, money is an energy. It literally is anywhere. We can create it. We receive the money through paper and other people, but money is a frequency. It's an energy. And so we heard our parents say these things. So then our parents also condition our ego beliefs of who we are, who I am, what's my place in the world. So this is why people who grow up in lower income or lower middle class, it's harder for them to get out of that income status, because they've been just conditioned to believe this is how the world works. This is who I am. So if you can get out of that income status and you can really make a life for yourself, you have transcended that ego, that part of your identity that says, I make this much money. My family makes this much money. The story that says money is hard to come by. And then that's when other people can say, well, you've changed, or you changed, or whatever, and other fears can get in the way. But we won't go into that right now. But this is just what happens, is based on past events that have happened to us and past evidence, our ego creates this idea of This is who I am. This is my place in the world. These are the stories that I believe to be true or I believe to be false about how the world works. And it is what it is. And the ego doesn't like to be challenged, because this is why we have our comfort zones, even if it's not anything but comfortable. So our comfort zone could be in a toxic relationship, even though it's not comfortable. It feels really scary to leave that relationship, right? So sometimes our ego keeps us in places that seem safe, but are anything but safe, because the ego is about survival. So if you are surviving, your ego is happy, and you can't be on a frequency of surviving and thriving. It's one or the other, because we need different resources from the body in order to thrive. And when we are just surviving, the resources that our body is outputting to survive are going to be different than the ones that we need to thrive. And I talked a little bit about this in the last video as well. But I wanted you to share, because you're an expander. And so how our ego, it identifies us based on past evidence. It tells us this is who I am. So when we want to try something new, it can be very challenging, like your social media experience, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? So I could relate to a few of her different stories that she was saying about, whether it's the trauma on
Capital T or lowercase t.
I mean, capital T at the time when I'm young, my friends, whatever, at a playground. And now I feel shy from wanting to speak my mind of something, because I'm going to get told by these other 5-year-olds that I'm dumb in what I'm saying. And it doesn't matter. People just say stupid stuff when they're young, just to learn what other people will do from all of that. So, for me, I always was a little shyer, and going into social media and just wanting to expand and share a lot with everyone. One of my whys is helping people in this world. It fuels me. And yet I didn't want to go out on social media and share with a lot of people, because I felt that little trauma from when I was younger, and many other things that were just reiterated, that I would just make that thought more solidified as I went through life. And so that little T got bigger and bigger and bigger through repetition of my own darn mind. So yeah, I thought that I didn't like social media. I would say I wasn't good at social media, and that I'm not going to get out there. And if I do get out there, man, there's going to be that bully that's going to say something to me. And the little person in me is so hurt by that. Right. Well, shut up, me. That's what I try to say, because am I going to let that thought and that potential person out there that I can block, stop me from helping all these other people in the world? Hell no. Right. But yeah, that was just a big fear of mine. And so that's where I worked on that in my mind, and worked on even some affirmations. Man, when I would go to a networking event, a big networking event at the start of things, I'd say 10 years ago, I really wanted to talk to everyone, but I wouldn't talk to hardly anyone because of those same fears. But now when I go to networking events, sometimes very specifically, I'll be intentional and put on my affirmation that I'm great at networking, that people love to talk to me, like people want to talk to me. And I even have different rings that I wear for different colors, for different things that I want to exemplify in myself at the time. So it's just another reminder of, hey, I can get over this thing in my head. So if I have all of these different things that are reinforcing a positive behavior on that, it's a way that I can train my ego in my head, train everything that's going on, so that I can show up to be who I want to be for the world, and so that I can fill my heart at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's essentially, the ego is formed at a very young age. And so that voice in your head, that critical voice that can be very fearful, very anxious, that's the ego. It's the ego when it comes in like a bull in a china shop. Like you start feeling a lot of fear. You start feeling that buildup in your body of, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I can do this. Or you start feeling very anxious or very overwhelmed or very stressed, and your ego's like, I, and it starts collapsing the world around you. Just, I don't have enough time to do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't know about this. And it's like you against the world, right? We've all been there when it feels like it's us against the world. And it's not a bad thing. That's what I want to tell you. I really want you to understand this. Like, your ego isn't something to argue with. It's something to understand. And when we understand ourselves more, we can love ourselves more. And then unconditional love is the highest vibrating frequency that there is. And so when we're plugged into that, we're truly in energetic alignment. And so when we can understand our ego more, we can say, okay, ultimately, when the ego pops up, there's a fear coming up. So we can say something like, hey, where is this fear? What's this belief? And the first couple of classes, we talked a lot about limiting beliefs. So if you identified any limiting beliefs, that's what your ego believes to be true or believes to be false about the world. So believes to be true, that limiting belief, believes to be false, what you actually want to believe. Okay. So, but that can change. That can change. Just like you broke up with that partner and now you're either in a new healthy relationship or you are single and thriving or you're dating, then you've become a different person. So you know that your beliefs about the world can change. So the ego is very malleable. So we want to work with it, not against it.
Yeah. So I just want to say too, with social media, everything with that, getting back into social media, I thought the same thing, Mark, where it's like, okay, I've been out of it for a while now because of whatever reasons, but it's like, how do I get back into it? They're going to be like, oh man, he's just trying to do this now. That's not who he is. Right. I was thinking to myself, that's not who I am. I was telling people I am not good at social media. I do not like social media. And all of those things. Well, change it. And that's not, necessarily easy, but it's
that's
a
where
straightforward.
affirmations come in.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, we have to practice. Remember, an ego is a component of your subconscious mind. It's a conscious expression of it. And so to change your subconscious, you need repetition or intensity or both. And so that's where we're reciting affirmations, using those bridge words, if that's what you need to make it more believable. And then look for proof in your world that this can be true. So for an example, if you think I can't make that much money, look for someone that is. If you think no one gives a shit what I say on social media, look for someone that you care about what they say. There's people that I've had that same belief too, where like, people don't care to hear what I have to say on social media. And then I'll go and I'll find myself looking on people's stories. Like, I'm literally looking at a photo of someone's food right now. Like, and I'm choosing to look at this. So someone cares about what I have to say.
Yeah, you're going to show up to the right people at the right time, exactly when they need it. And you're going to give them the right message. It's, and it's not going to be the people that critique you, that give you all that. It's not for them. Just know that that's not for them. And you'll learn to seek the people that love you and the people that can relate to you with everything that you're doing at the end of the day. I also had the feeling like I'm not good enough as all these other people that are out there. But yeah, like the example, man, everyone eats the food and stuff.
Yes. And this is something that I've been telling Zach a lot too. And I guess it's just coming up because we all need to hear it right now. It's just, people come to you not because of what you know. We live in an age where anything can be Googled. For the most part, I'm in the holistic health field, so it's a little harder to find stuff like that I do, but anything can be Googled. Okay. They come to you because of your energy. They are drawn to you for a reason. Only you can present things in a way that some people need to hear it. Only you can engage with people in a way that some people need to be engaged with. Why do you have a partner? Why did Zach choose me and not the other billions of women in the world? Because only him and I can have the connection that we have. It's the same concept. People come to you because of your energy. They come to you because you have something that they can feel on an unconscious level that they're not even aware of on a conscious level yet. Right? We've all come across someone where like, I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm supposed to talk to this person. I feel like I'm very drawn to this person. There is a reason, and it has nothing to do with our conscious mind. It has everything to do with the energetic ties that connect us all. Okay. So you have to trust that. You have to trust that if there's a message on your heart, Mark's coming back in, you have to trust that if there's a message on your heart, that it is a message meant for you. For you to express. I will get the hang of this microphone eventually. For you to express. that it is a message that only you, even if other people are sharing similar things, even if other people are saying similar things, you are saying it in a way that specific people in your field, or that are going to become into your field, that are going to come into your field, that they need to hear from you. They need to feel it from you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I went through this a lot too, because I come off very passionate, and sometimes I'll rewatch things that I say. I'm like, wow, I sound very angry, but I'm not. I'm just so passionate. And I'm like, who the heck would want to hear what I have to say like this? But people always say, wow, that was so powerful. Thank you for that message. And so I had to get over that limiting belief, my ego saying, who are you to say this? Who are you to share this? Who are you to connect with people in this way? Because you're just some angry girl. And I'm like, no, I'm not angry. I'm just very passionate about this. I think everyone needs to know this stuff. And so I choose to lead with that belief when I go live, when I connect with clients or potential clients, or when I'm just sharing on my social media. I choose to believe that I'm passionate about this and people need to hear this to better their life. And I come from that place to get that other belief out of my head, and then I share.
Mm-hmm.
So you can practice reciting that to yourself, the new affirmation, the new belief, and then take the action.
Yeah. So Mark, thank you for sharing. You know, we have failed on things in the past. You know, we all have, you know, so it is scary to start yet another thing, Gabby, relating to that. What I would say is that share that, man.
Yeah,
because
we
you know
can
what?
all connect with failure.
Dude, yeah, that's so raw and real. And it's like, what, but look at the flip side of that. Yeah, you think you failed at things, but there's so many people that don't start anything that they want to frickin' do in life.
Yeah.
But you are great at starting things,
And
thinking of things that you want and starting them. Yeah. And you're so strong in that you're okay. And you're seeking out more abilities to get stronger, to start more things. Oh my gosh. So it's so awesome. One of the things I love hearing that saying of, you're perfectly positioned to help the person you once were. You're perfectly positioned to teach that person, to share your story, that person that you once were, bring somebody up who is then going to be afraid because they've failed on something. They've failed on something, so they're afraid to start yet another thing. Dude, share that, man. That's so raw and real that people are going to relate to that so much. And you're going to show up to the right person at the right time, right when they need to see, like, yeah, all right, this friend of mine, he is doing that. And I've seen him, because people see things and they remember things, sure, but they've got short memories too. And so I just like to look at people of where they are in life and where they're looking to go. And man, not giving up, that's just a huge thing. So show up to those people, because you don't know who you're going to end up affecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to carry on from what you were saying, babe, and Julie saying that you've been misunderstood over your passion and you think it's more of the receiver than you. Absolutely. Everyone is seeing a reality through their own personal lens. And sometimes if people are so much like they're leading life through a very egotistical lens, meaning they're leading life through a protection. They have fears, they have insecurities, and their ego is like overboarding. It's a very overprotective sibling. And it's saying it's really limiting them from seeing the world as it actually is. And it's showing them a view of the world through their protection. An example would be if someone failed and they were so embarrassed that they failed, that insecurity of them failing, their ego came in and said, it's not safe to try again because you failed and you were so hurt by that failure. If they are choosing to look through that lens into the world, meaning, Mark, for an example, because you were sharing, if you shared something on social media and someone looked at you and was like, he just tried that a couple months ago and he failed. Look at him trying to be an idiot. That's their lens, because they feel like an idiot because they tried to do something, they failed, they feel embarrassed, and they would feel like an idiot if they tried again.
Yeah.
So that's their lens. They are projecting their hurt onto you because they are trying to protect themselves. So then this is what, like, so projection onto someone else is protection internally. So if someone is projecting onto you, calling you names or saying what you're doing is silly, or saying you need to stop trying, or saying just give it up and move on, they are projecting their fears and insecurities onto you as a form of them trying to protect their fears and insecurities.
Yeah. So know that that's their ego.
Yes.
That's the first thing that we're trying to do is identify what is this ego so that we can condition it in different ways and see that other people haven't conditioned their own at that point.
What is happening is that you trying something new, that's an ego threat. So their ego is feeling threatened now just watching you. And other threats that can come in and be a threat to our ego is it can be the possibility of a reoccurrence of a harmful event. So if you were in a toxic previous relationship, you might feel scared to put yourself in a position to be in a new relationship because you're like, oh, well, I don't want this to happen again. I can't trust my judgment. Or it can be anything that threatens self-esteem or self-image. So putting yourself out there, that's a threat to the ego. It can be lack of control of something. So that would be like, I can't control who comments on my stuff. I can't control how this is going to turn out. So that feels very fearful to the ego. It can be just trying something new. Even if you failed in the past or didn't turn out how you wanted in the past, trying something new or just moving into the unknown in general, going on a weight loss journey, going on a healing journey, that's something new. That's the unknown. And then healing in general, your ego, your nervous system has learned to survive in a current state that it's in. So when we start healing or when we start becoming self-aware or when we start being more responsive and less reactive, that can be a threat to the ego because the ego doesn't know how to operate. The ego doesn't know who the I is acting in this way. And so you can be threatened, your ego can be threatened by that, or you can threaten someone else's ego by you taking steps in these directions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Julie. Wow. Awareness is a huge first step. That is like summation of exactly what we're trying to do by running around this track and talking about all these different topics about energetic alignment and mindset. The first thing we're trying to do is just make you guys aware of yourselves, give lots of self-awareness. And trust me, I am always trying to get better at my own self-awareness too. Oh God, I don't think I'm ever going to stop trying to just get better at this because it's so powerful to get to that state. So I want to leave you with this little example too. Just know that we are all elevating ourselves. We are all looking to get better, and elevation in that way is normal in our group, right? Normal for us, just like when you go to a real estate conference or your local real estate investors association. I had this conversation with somebody just last night. Everyone in there, it makes real estate investing, succeeding, finding properties off market, whatever it is, normal. What is abnormal is someone who doesn't think that that's a good thing, who doesn't want to try and increase their mindset and awareness of their self. That's abnormal in our group. So that's the power of being in a group, is because it reframes to you what's normal and abnormal. And so all of us think now that it's normal to get better in these different ways, but you know, that just think about that. And so just be careful of who you surround yourself with and be intentional about where you want to spend your time because it affects you.
Yeah, absolutely. And my nature is to want to get the result. Yeah, we all want to get results. And that's why it takes that journey of self-awareness to understand who are we being as we try to get the result, right? Because as we move forward, we're going to trigger other people, we're going to be triggered. And one thing I just want to say is, how many of you guys have commented in the chat box saying like, yeah, I resonate with that. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I've had ego fears too. And my ego has said this and that and that. Just take a moment to realize like, you're not alone. You're not alone in your fears. You're not alone in being and focusing on the result and feeling disappointed if you don't get that result. But don't let the fear of disappointment prevent you from continuing to get the result that you want. Because remember, if it's not this, it has to be something better. Because I'm believing that. I'm choosing to believe that. That's faith. That's an ego enemy, by the way, which we're going to talk about next week. But it's understanding that I'm not alone. If I'm feeling this way, it's proof that other people are feeling this way too, because we're all connected. And if I'm really feeling this way, then there's probably a lot of people that are feeling this, because energy, a lot of people believing one thing, giving energy towards one thing is energy amplified. So that can show up as like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm feeling this a lot. It must mean a lot of people are feeling this way. I know sometimes I'll go on group calls like, wow, I feel really ungrounded right now. Let me just take a minute to ground the people people in this group, and everyone's like, oh, thanks, I really needed that. Oh, thanks, I really need that. Didn't realize how ingratitude I was feeling. So just know you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. And that you taking that action, you're giving other people permission to do the same. And even if it's imperfect, and again, that's moving away from our ego, because when the ego is challenged, we feel resistance. We feel procrastination through perfectionism. Oh, this has to be perfect before I can put this out.
Oh yeah,
Or we
that's
feel,
me. That's originally my thing that gets in my way. That one of them.
And we feel like analysis paralysis. That one's really big for me. Or we find other ways to keep ourselves busy. So we procrastinate through that. We come up with excuses. Well, I was going to do this, but I have this, and this come up. I know I'm an avid worker outer. I'm just going to say it like that. I'm an avid worker outer. And we moved into our house, October of 2021. And, so there's a gym here, and I was very comfortable at my old gym. There's a gym here that I tried out for about 6 months, and then membership, I needed to renew it, but we were traveling for like 2 months. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll renew it when we get back in December. So just this last December, it took me 3 weeks to get my ass back to the gym and renew my membership, not because I'm new to working out, not because I'm new to that gym, but because my ego was feeding me all these beliefs. It was just like, well, do you really need to go there? Well, you have so much things that you need to get done here. And that my ego was challenged to get back into that routine. So I was finding other things to keep me busy. I was finding excuses as to why I couldn't make it to the gym yet. And then when I ended up going, I felt great. And then within a week, I'm like, wow, I feel so good. I can't believe I waited so long to do this. So just remember, how are you going to feel on the other side of that action? Let that feeling guide you through the action. How am I going to feel when I finish my first workout in 3 weeks? I'm going to feel fucking amazing. So I'm going to let that feeling guide me into this action, even if I feel scared. Am I going to let my fear win, or am I going to let the feeling of feeling confident, of feeling accomplished win? Right? So we always are making a choice. Are we letting fear win, or are we letting the desired feeling, the desired outcome win? Because we want what we want because of the way that we think we will feel when we have it. So are you going to let that feeling win, or the fear win? You're letting one or the other. And so reasons that we might choose fears, because our ego is just feeling very, very challenged. Like I've already given you some examples. Some other ones, defensiveness might pop up. We might feel lack of empathy for others. That's when like, I'm better than you, or we'll rationalize our current situation. Again, relationships are a wonderful one for this. Even if it's like a professional relationship. Well, he treats me fine. She treats me okay. Do you just want to be treated okay? You just want to be treated like, oh yeah, well, like I get the scraps. Like, no. So we will rationalize current situations, or our critical voice gets very loud and we start comparing ourselves. We start judging other people or judging ourselves, start feeling that anxiety and that fear. And when we feel a lot of anxiety, our energy body literally, it gives preference to our mental energy. So the energy in our upper energy centers. And so we start to feel very ungrounded or very spacey, like, gosh, I just don't feel like myself today. And so things, when we're moving into the unknown, trying something new, that challenges us. So these are symptoms of when your ego is challenged. And what happens is your ego may want to collapse on itself, meaning the world feels very small. And that's when you have created your own little system.
Yeah, my own little system. So I tend to be particular with words a lot of time whenever and then again, that's just, I want things to be perfect that go into the world. And so part of that was just honing what word selection I use with everything. But then I noticed that I would, if I changed the words that I used, I would get a different result. So, instead of asking, when I'm in a down state and I'm like, oh, I can't do that, I catch myself and I'm like, ooh, I just said I can't do that, or I'm limited by something. Instead of saying I can't, and I don't just flip it and say I can do that.
You're like, no, that won't work.
Yeah.
Or no, can't
right.
do it.
All those little
like,
things in my mind.
Here.
And like they come up. They come up in different times. I mean, throughout the last week, if I wrote them down, those things they come up. So it's, yeah, how can I, that's a starter. I'd say that's the training wheels, but I'll give you even a better one, much better one. It's how many ways can I do this? How many ways can I accomplish that? How many ways can I reach that goal? So how many ways can we work together? How many ways can we do deals together? How many ways can we have a loving, beautiful, happy relationship and help everyone else around us? How many ways? Literally change that word and you change the result, because your mind, think about it, your mind is not now asking, can I or can't I do that? That's not even a question. There is no opportunity for your mind to say, I can't do that, because how many ways tricks you to think that, oh, there is no. So I'm now challenged with thinking all of the possibilities. And it's not even just what way can I do this, because then you will stop at whatever you think right away. The trick is how many ways can you do it? Because literally it's a plural. Plural means you must at least think of two, but I would say challenge yourself to literally think of how many ways can you do this. When I was when I was scrambling for money, when there was the pandemic that was happening and everything was going on, and oh my gosh, who knows? There's lots of unknown. I would get into a little depressive state and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do something. I'm not going to be able to make the payment to the lenders, all this stuff, whatever, fear, all those things, maybe rightly so coming in at times, but I would say not rightly so. I challenged myself with that own question. How many ways can I make money? How many ways can I make this work? And then holy smokes, I ended up having some notepad that had 25 lines on it. And I swear I had 20 different ways of making money right there, because it just asked that question, how many ways? And I'm like, ooh, what's another way? Ooh, because as you get more and more of them, man, it just feels more possible. You feel more full of yourself, your happiness. And then it's like, okay, now I have 20 different ways that I can make money from this. Now I can rank which ones make more sense for me, which ones are like the faster ways or the bigger ways, whatever your criteria is, the best way to show love to your significant others and things like that. But you're not stuck. Your mind doesn't think, can I or can't I? Because that's not the question. It's how many ways. That helps me all the time. I'm going to tell you, just reframe that question to yourself all the time. Try it. Just try that one thing out on yourself whenever you're feeling down about something or feeling that something is not possible. Catch yourself in that thought and then very quickly go and think, how many ways can I make this more possible? So I love that. So that's one of the things that I typically say when I'm networking with people, when I'm just looking for kind-hearted, loving people in the world, looking to do great things. At that point, I tell them, it's not can or can't we work together, because with kind-hearted, loving, trusting people, it turns into how many ways can we work together? And people resonate with that a lot. And then we start thinking of all the different ways. It's almost like your mind knows how to brainstorm. It's just, if you let your mind brainstorm in a negative way, it'll go to town. It'll go to town. Like, how many ways can this go bad? If you're a pessimistic type of thinker, holy smokes, you'll go to town thinking of all the different ways that it can go bad. So don't let yourself do that.
Yeah. And the brain has a negativity bias to begin with, because it is
Safety.
a survival organ.
Yeah.
And so it's looking for threats. So we have to program ourselves to look for positive experiences, for things that can go good, for things that can go our way, because they're out there. Everything is a possibility. So if there's a possibility that something can flop or something can go horribly, there's an equal possibility that it can go wonderfully. Okay. So we have to learn to believe that. And also to get past that fear of disappointment, that if it doesn't go amazingly well, then that's okay too, because I learned something from this experience and I've built confidence towards this experience, like Zach was saying, with the how many ways, and then you start writing them down. And so now you're not only seeing how many ways you can get past this, but you're also building confidence. Like, wow, there's one way. Oh, wow, there's another way. Wow, I have 5-6 ways and I'm not even done writing down. So then you're building confidence in yourself as well. So it's something that can help you to get past. And we all are going to go through, like, the ego feels threatened, the ego feels resistance or pushback, and then we have to implement our tools to get past that. That is a cyclical experience. That's not something that we get past once and it's done. It's something that will happen whenever we try something new. It's just you get better at it. You become more confident with it. You learn to trust yourself more and your ability to to execute whatever it is that you want to achieve. And so therefore you start going through the process a bit quicker. And so you can do this by building confidence and write down what happened when you acted, write down how it turned out, because we're so easy to forget the positive, but it's not easy to forget the negative. We will remember that like we're elephants. And so it's just giving ourselves that permission to celebrate what went well, to learn from what didn't, and to remind our ego, I survived this. I may have failed, but I survived. Or I tried something new and I survived, because that's what matters. It wants to survive. That is the ego's main goal. That is why it gives us resistance and procrastinates, and it causes us to push back against something new, because it doesn't know if you're going to survive, because change equals the unknown equals a chance of death. So when we can remind ourselves, hey, I'm good, or look, we survived. Look at all of these other times that we've tried something and we've survived. Like, it will then become a little bit easier for you to press go and press play. And because the ego will always try to remind you of who you are. So you have to tell yourself who you are, because if you don't, your ego will decide for you based on past experiences. So just like Zach was saying, look for the positive, look for who do you want to be? Write it down. This is why we went over affirmations in the first couple calls, because we want you guys to actually do this and like write it down, read it every day. I have reminders in my calendar app on my iPhone. They go off throughout the day of just little sayings that I want to remind myself are possible for me. And I have something that I've recorded that I listen to at night, or I'll listen to it in a quick meditation that reminds me of what is possible, what I want to do. So do this for you, because it makes your ego. What this does, when you listen to affirmations, when you repeat affirmations, when you visualize the affirmation already happening, you are telling yourself, this already happened. The body doesn't know what's happened previously, what hasn't happened yet, or what currently is happening. It knows what you tell it via the stories that you're telling yourself based off of what you're currently experiencing. So when we can recite affirmations, when we can take a minute and just close our eyes and breathe into whatever it is that we want to create in our life, we want to be true, you are telling yourself, this is who I am. This is my life. This is what's true for me. So therefore, you are slowly but surely telling your ego, this is my reality. This is who I am. Remember, the ego is the collection of stories you tell yourself. That's one component of it. So tell yourself some bomb ass stories so you can start creating a life that you really, really enjoy. And then the more that you tell yourself these stories, the more your ego's like, wow, that is me. Wow. So then you start finding, you walk into rooms and you carry yourself a little bit differently. You get on conversations with potential buyers or sellers or business partners or whatever, and you're showing up more confidently. You're posting on social media like, who is this person? And you're reading your post like, wow, that was really good. And you're showing up for dates and you're feeling good regardless of how the date turns out. And you're just like, you're going to the gym and you're like, I'm so proud of myself that I'm here. And you walk and you're checking yourself out in the mirror and you're not just staring at the floor, because you belong there, because you're taking care of yourself. You are literally programming a new identity into your mind. So don't take this stuff lightly, especially if there's something that you want. There's just simple little things that we can do. And it's very simple. It's very, very simple, but it does take repetition. And this can help our ego from not freaking out when we finally are ready to take the leap. So if we practice seeing ourselves at the gym for a week before we actually go, taking that first step into the gym doesn't feel so scary. If we practice signing a multi-million-dollar deal before it happens, signing that deal doesn't feel so intimidating. Right? We don't have that imposter syndrome as much. It still might be there. So these are just some little things that can help to prevent your ego from freaking out so much, because your ego will continue to freak out if there's an actual threat or it's perceived. A perceived threat can be an argument. It doesn't have to be like an actual, my life is threatened. It can be an argument. So we have to tell ourselves, this is who I am. This is how I show up. Otherwise, that negativity bias, that survival instinct will kick in.
Yeah, remember, it's all about you. It's all about you and your ego. So you can't control the other people when we're thinking about all of this. So when you think about, all right, maybe I want this deal to happen. I want something from that deal to happen. Just know and how many ways, can I get a deal like this to happen? Maybe it's not that specific deal. And that's okay. But
Yes.
knowing that there's always another deal out there, put that as one of the line items, then you're already prepping yourself that if things go wrong, I don't have to worry already, get down and then come back up to go and get that other deal. There's another deal that's right out there.
Yes.
Just have that abundance. And the same thing with a relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you're not going to be able to necessarily will the other person to do everything that you want, but you know how you want to show up in a relationship, and you know how you want to feel respected, loved, any of those things in a relationship. And so you can put that out there. How many ways can I give love and feel respected and give respect to other people? But one of those ways might be to get another person. And that's okay. That's just okay, right? So I'm not trying to tell you that you can fix everything around you like that. But what you can do is you can fix, if you want to use that word, yourself.
You can
work with yourself.
Yeah,
I don't know.
can
I was
evolve.
hoping she would use that. Someone last night used the word fix themselves with regard to some of these type of vision and things like
You
that.
are not a project that needs worked on.
Yeah.
You are in partnership with yourself.
That's
you
a
are in
negative
partnership.
connotation that I need fixing.
Yeah,
right?
your mind, body, and soul are in partnership with each other. This is why we don't look at the ego as this negative thing that is just a dead weight that we have to carry through life. No, we can program our ego to work for us. Just like our money can sit in a bank account and earn nothing, or we can invest it and have it work for us. Our ego is just whatever it's been conditioned to be. And we are malleable. So we can recondition our ego. Does it take some effort and time at first? Yes, but it becomes easier over time because you become more aware. And if you find yourself feeling stuck or feeling like, oh, I don't know where to go from here. What if you did know? What if you did know? What if you did know what was on the other side of this fear? What if you did know what you needed to get clarity? What would that be? Don't give yourself the option to say no or to set yourself up for failure. Like his question with how many ways. I always ask people, okay, I understand you're feeling that fear, but what if you did know? And then if you want something to work out, again, don't set yourself up for failure. Say, if it's not this, it's something better. And just program that into your psyche. If it's not going to be this, it's something better. I'm just being redirected to something better. There will be a lesson in this, or there will be some type of resource that I gain from this, but I'm being redirected to something better if it's not this. Again, perfect example is relationships. We've all been devastated when we've left relationships. How many of us want to be in a relationship with someone that we dated when we were 16 years old? I wouldn't. And so now, but I was devastated when I broke up with my high school sweetheart. And so now it's just know that it's just going to become better because you are becoming better, because you're growing, you're evolving, you're learning lessons, you're learning more about yourself, and you're expanding your view of the world around you. Thus, you're giving yourself more evidence that the world can work however you want it to work. Right.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So I think that's a good stopping point for today. If anybody has any questions, then we will stay on a couple minutes for that. But next week, just real quickly, we're going to talk more about the ego enemies. So these are things like forgiveness, faith, trust, compassion, growth, possibility. And we're going to talk about how to incorporate more of those into your life. And Zach will give you an example of how he used forgiveness to really overcome something that was a burden.
Oh yeah. So that exercise that I talked about a couple weeks ago that you guys were interested in, that kind of shifted my whole mindset in the course of 45 minutes, took me from this giant burden that I had to just all of a sudden light and happy and full of possibilities. That exercise we're going to share with you next week as well. Yeah. So, and then as well as we move forward with all of this, we love to, again, go fill out this form, Google form online. Let us know where you would like us to go, any type of feedback on it as well. We're open ears, we're very malleable, open-minded people, and we're here for you. at the end of the day, we're here for you and we're excited for that. So we love having you guys on every week. Thank you so much for your time with all of that. It's so much better when you guys are here and we can see you and we're engaging and we're doing this because we're doing it for you. So because of all that, every now and then in these weekly calls that we do, we're going to be doing a little bit of Q&A.
And hot seat coaching.
Just Q&A for the whole time, just hot seat. If someone wants to be vulnerable and have us help you in that, just know that there's so many other people that are out there that need to hear that message as well. So you are not alone in this world of billions and billions and billions of people having those thoughts and feelings. But just know that you're also not alone in wanting to get past them, because that's what's normal. Remember, we're in a group right now where it's normal to identify those things in ourselves and to want and seek out ways of becoming better in the world. So yeah, so we'll have a Q&A, we'll have a hot seat, if you will. Might sound a little intimidating to some of us that are shy. Hot seat coaching, whichever
term that.
But whoever is wanting to get that,
all eyes on you.
We'll love to do all of that. And obviously it's a safe space.
Of course. And actually our first Q&A/hot seat call will be in 2 weeks. And because I want to engage with you guys more, I know some people have messaged us separately and asked questions. And I just think if you're having a question or you're experiencing something in your life, it doesn't even have to be something related to this, but if you're experiencing something in your life and you're just like, okay, how can I apply this? Someone else is also having that question as well. So trust that. And if there is just something that is coming up, bring it to the call and let us work through it, because I guarantee that it will help other people. So yeah, it's just a way for us to engage more with you guys. We'll just do a couple of them every couple months or something, just do a call for that. So that will be fun. And I don't think there are any questions for today. So we hope that you guys found value from this. We will not see you live next week, but we will be sending out a video because we will be traveling again next week, but we will be sending out a video before this time. So you can still spend this time to watch that video. And then we will be live again in 2 weeks. Yeah. With the Q&A and everything. So it'll be very, very specific to whoever wants to get some change in their life. Yeah. I look forward to all of that. So I'm always looking forward to change. So anyway, thank you again. Yes, we won't be here. We'll be at a capital raising event in Kentucky. So yay for real estate and raising money and everything that enables in our life. So we look forward to that. But yeah, reach out any other time. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, all those places. Email Monique. She's a lot better at responding to emails than I am in my time. And also, she's so smart and knows all these things. It's better to ask her those types of questions. I'm here for moral support, to give you guys anecdotal stories so that men can also relate to everything as well, that it's okay to come out of your shell and be a man and say, oh, I don't have all my feelings all figured out or what's going on in my head. We all have these problems. Yeah. So I'll be fair and be vulnerable for all of you guys to do that. But of course, if you have real estate questions, then you probably shouldn't ask Monique those as much. Nothing against her. But we each play our own roles. But it's funny how your mind, your body, and your bank account all end up working in sync. And when one of them is out of sync, it affects all the other ones in your life. So there's something to keep in mind and always strive to be better at. Yeah. So awesome. All right. We hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday and weekend, and we will see you soon. Love you all. Bye. Take care. Bye.